Muscle cars have always followed a pretty simple recipe: massive power, handling that's more of a suggestion than a feature, and an affordable price tag. But among the sea of tire-shredding beasts, a few stood out, monsters that didn't just follow the recipe, they rewrote it. From legendary V8s to turbocharged underdogs, these cars didn't just leave a mark, they left burnouts in history. Buckle up, these are the 7 most radical muscle cars ever made. Chevelle 454 LS6, the king that came out of nowhere. Let's start with a proper heavyweight, the Chevelle 454 LS6. Many call it the king of the classic muscle era. Yes, even above the Mustang Cobra Jet, the Hemi Cuda, or the Charger 500. Why? Because this car didn't just compete, it dominated. For years, GM had a strict rule: no engines bigger than 400 cubic inches in mid-size cars. That meant the 396 was the top dog, but as the muscle car era neared its twilight, GM threw the rulebook out the window. Enter the LS6, a 454 cubic inch beast tuned to 450 horsepower and a pavement-twisting 500 lb-hts of torque. It wasn't just powerful, it was quick. A 13.1 second quarter mile made it the fastest muscle car you could walk into a dealership and buy. It even looked the part, a bold, blunt design with bucket seats inside and upgraded suspension underneath. And the hood flap, pure mechanical poetry. It opened wide when you floored it, feeding the engine more cool air. Sadly, it lasted just 1 year. Emission regulations came knocking in 1971, and the mighty LS6 was too wild to be tamed. Chevy killed it, but not before it earned its crown. Better to go out on top than live long enough to become a Mustang King Cobra. Buick GNX Darth Vader's hot rod. By the late 70s, the muscle car was dead. Regulations, fuel crises, and insurance hikes had neutered American performance. The cars looked cool but drove like oatmeal. Even into the 80s, the hottest thing around was the Fox body Mustang, barely cracking 200 horsepower. Then Buick, of all brands, said, what if we make a V6 muscle car with a turbo? The result was the Buick GNX, Grand National Experimental, a blacked-out menace that looked like it should come with a cape and theme music. In 1987, the GNX was the fastest accelerating production car you could buy. Faster than a Porsche 911, faster than a Corvette, faster than your imagination. Only 547 were made, leading dealers to hoard them, mark them up, or flat out refuse to sell. And GM, they weren't thrilled their luxury brand's Darth Vader Mobile was outperforming their beloved Corvette, so they limited its top speed and downplayed its power. But dyno tests revealed the truth. It made 300 plus horsepower. The GNX was the original sleeper, a wolf in a Buick's clothing. Mustang GTD, the $300K corner-crushing titan. For decades, Europeans mocked American muscle cars for being straight-line brutes with the cornering ability of a fridge. But Ford decided it was time to clap back with force. Meet the Mustang GTD, a machine built to dominate Europe's sacred Nürburgring and shut up smug accents worldwide. This thing is not a diesel, despite the name. It's a wide-body war machine designed to outpace GT3 RS's and AMG Black Series monsters. Underneath, it's got a carbon fiber body, a titanium exhaust made from recycled F-22 fighter jets, and a sequential dual-clutch transmission at the back for perfect weight distribution. Massive DRS rear wings, magnesium wheel covers, inboard racing suspension, and 800 plus horsepower from a supercharged 5.2 LV8. All built to terrorize tracks. The only downside, it starts at $300,000. Still, when your goal is ultimate dominance, price is just a number. Plymouth Superbird, the NASCAR rocket with a beak. You can't talk radical muscle cars without mentioning the legendary Plymouth Superbird, a machine born out of pure NASCAR obsession. It wouldn't exist without the Dodge Charger Daytona, which itself needed the help of an actual rocket scientist to become competitive on oval tracks. Once Dodge figured out that pointy equals fast, Plymouth wanted in. They took their Roadrunner and gave it a similar treatment: long aerodynamic nose, towering rear wing, and enough NASCAR swag to bring back racing legend Richard Petty. It worked. The street version, though, that's where things got wild. It had all the aero bits, splitters, scoops, spoilers, but Plymouth tried to beautify it. Black vinyl roofs, sleeker lines, subtle tweaks. They hoped it would sell better than the Daytona, but it didn't. didn't. Dealers struggled to move them and often converted them back into normal road runners just to get rid of them. If only they knew how insanely collectible they'd become decades later. Dodge Demon, the drag strip's legal nightmare. Forget racetracks, forget corners. The heart of muscle car culture is a short, brutal, straight line. And Dodge understood the assignment. That's how the Dodge Demon was born. This was a factory-built drag car. So hardcore it only came with one seat. The other was optional. The tires were borderline illegal, and the car required you to sign a waiver promising not to sue Dodge if you crash, spin out, or, well, die. Under the hood was a reworked Hellcat engine cranking out 840 horsepower. On a prepped surface, it could pull off a wheelie. Yes, the front wheels leave the ground. It did 0-60 in 1.9 seconds and ran a 9.6 second quarter mile, which was so fast that the NHRA banned it from competition unless a roll cage was installed. And just when you thought that was crazy, Dodge introduced an even faster one, the Demon 170, running 8-second passes. Too fast for drag racing. Let that sink in. Mustang Boss 10L, the petty rivalry that birthed a monster. Back in the 90s, two GM and Ford engineers were in a friendly but intense rivalry. One day, GM's John Moss showed up at John Coletti's house with a 650 horsepower Camaro concept, flexing hard. Ford's response, build something insane. The result, the Mustang Boss 10L, a one-off SVT Cobra with a 10-liter naturally aspirated V8 that made 855 horsepower and 800 lb of torque. That's more displacement than your average small boat. Outside, it looked like a normal Cobra until you noticed the massive hood bulge and tires fat enough to host a barbecue on. The engine was a modern Frankenstein, a 1970s Boss 429 block enlarged and injected with Roush-built insanity. They raced. The Camaro ran a 10.77 second quarter. The Boss 10L, a 10.55. Barely won, but a win's a win. And Ford proved that when provoked, they can go just as mad as Mopar. Shelby Cobra Super Snake, the car so wild it killed a man. And finally, the most dangerous muscle car ever made, the Shelby Cobra Super Snake. Only two were built. The first one, Carroll Shelby's personal toy. The second, given to comedian Bill Cosby, because why not? This wasn't just a Cobra, it was a Cobra with twin superchargers making 800 horsepower in 1966, in a car that weighed less than your grandma's shopping cart. It had no seatbelts, no bumpers, and hot side exit exhaust pipes inches from your calves. Hit someone, and the chrome fans would puree them. Cosby, upon driving it, immediately returned it. The next owner, he drove off a cliff and died. That means 1 out of 2 Super Snakes ended in death. Russian roulette has better odds. Shelby once said this was the Cobra to end all Cobras. He wasn't kidding. The Super Snake wasn't just dangerous, it was evil in the most glorious way possible. And there you have it, the wildest, loudest, most radical muscle cars ever to burn rubber on American roads. If you enjoyed this ride through automotive insanity, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for more high-octane content, and share this with your fellow car lovers. Until next time, keep the engine roaring and the tires spinning.